And maybe this is where I need to make it more personal, because when I speak about the future, decentralization, building your own node, about creating life that does not depend on your employer, on one country, one institution. I'm not speaking about something I discovered last month because AI became very much fashionable. I have been struggling with this question almost my entire adult life. I'm 50 now, and since I was very young, I had this strange sensation that I was living in the wrong era. Not because I wanted to escape responsibility. Actually, quite the opposite. I could never understand the bargain society was offering me. Give away the strongest decade of my life, wake up every morning according to somebody else's schedule, travel to place you don't necessarily want to be, repeat for 30 or 40 years, who knows, and in exchange, perhaps one day, when the body is older and your energy is lower, there will be some pension, some security, some institution that will take care of you. Something inside me rejected that agreement from very early moment. But rejecting the old road doesn't immediately give you a new one. How you understood life in 2000. And this is the part people sometimes really romanticize, because there were years when it was economically difficult, years when I didn't know exactly what I was building, years when I watched people around me taking the normal road and wondered whether maybe they were right. They had predictable salaries, they had careers, they were building families, they had structures around them that society understood, not me. And I was trying to discover how to make a life work without handing the center of it to somebody else. Before remote work became normal, of course, internet was slow yet. Before social media became an economy, before AI, even before the internet became what it is today, I was already asking, how can I create value directly? How can I work with people rather than simple work for a structure? How little infrastructure do I actually need? How much freedom can I preserve? What skills can travel with me? And over the years, that became my education. I learned through bodies, through people, through markets, psychology, astrology, businesses, technology, even through living in different countries, making mistakes, through periods of abundance and periods of contraction. I stopped believing that success meant becoming bigger. I understood that sometimes scale is another trap, because the bigger the machine becomes, the more fuel it demands. More employees, more expenses, more obligations, more management, visibility, people expecting something from you, more pressure to continue growing because stopping suddenly feels like failure, of course. And I realized that this was not what I wanted. I said in previous video, I didn't want to become a Boeing 747. I want to remain closer to a drone, maybe. Light, fast, able to change direction, to land somewhere unexpected, able to survive on less fuel. That completely changed my relationship with money. I still want abundance, of course. Having more energy than you need to survive, of course. I want access, I want quality, I want the ability to travel, good food, not just delicious, good and healthy food, beautiful places, enough capital that I'm not making decisions from fear. But I don't need to become enormous in order to prove that my life worked. Because every additional layer of lifestyle you require become another layer you have to maintain. And this is where I think many people are going to arrive over the next years. Not everybody will become an entrepreneur. Not everybody should. But many people are going to start asking, how much do I actually need? How much? Which expenses are buying you freedom? And which ones are buying status? Which skills belong to me? Which income stream can move with me? Can I create directly? Sell on a beach? And what can technology remove from the weight of my life? This is exactly how I use AI now. Not to produce 10 times more just because I can, but to reduce friction, to research faster, to organize faster, to communicate faster, create without requiring a huge team around me. Freedom. So that more of my time returns to me. Because this is the part I think people still misunderstand. The goal of automation should not necessarily be, now I can produce twice as much. Maybe sometimes the goal is, now I can work half as much. Now I can work half as much as still create enough. And what to do with the rest? I train, I study, cook, observe, travel, meet people, take care of my body, develop other skills. I have enough silence to notice where life is actually trying to move me. For years, I sometimes felt guilty about this, almost as if dedicating enormous amount of time to learning was irresponsible. People told me, my father told me, go to work. What you are doing on the computer? I was investigating. I was learning how to build my first website. But today I look at it differently. I was building intellectual capital, biological, geographic, relational capital, skills that are not tied to one employer. And this is also what much of my work has developed into. Whether I'm looking at cycles and markets, working with people around sovereignty and biology, or helping somebody understand how to position himself for what is coming, the underlying question is the same. How do you become less fragile? How do you see the cycle before you are trapped inside it? How do you build your body before illness forces you to care about it? How do you build financial optionality before an institution decides for you? How do you understand technology before technology begins understanding you better than you understand yourself? How do you build a life that can move with you? General, this is the experiment I have actually been living. And at 50, 2026, something strange, very strange is happening. Not just to me, I think this is the portal for humanity. Because for decades, I felt that I was fighting against the direction of the world. You can believe in how much. I didn't comply. Now the direction of the world seems to be moving toward many of the questions I was already forced to answer. Remote work, portable income, artificial intelligence, decentralized communities, location independence, personal sovereignty, the collapse of predictable career paths. So miserable. I saw them sitting for so many hours in office with the same sandwich, with the same habits when I was discovering South America, Australia, Europe, through all the challenges. I need to understand cycles rather than blindly assuming tomorrow will resemble yesterday. So when I look at the next years, I don't see only disruption. I see huge transfer of responsibility back to the individual. Pluto in Aquarius. Uranus is in Gemini. That can be terrifying if your entire life was built around somebody else telling you where to stand. But if you begin building your own infrastructure now, it can also become one of the most liberating periods of your life. And perhaps that is why I no longer believe I was born in the wrong era. Maybe I simply started preparing too early for the one that is arriving now. So, where does this actually lead? When I look forward, I keep coming back to very interesting and important period. 20 into 2033. I'm going to explain it astrologically because Jupiter moves into Aquarius in 2032 and eventually reaches Pluto there. The exact conjunction comes in early February 2033, 6 years from here. And I think this matters because Jupiter amplifies, Pluto concentrates power, destroys old structures, exposes what is underneath them, and rebuild from the roots. The last time they conjuncted was in 2020. The Aquarius. And Aquarius is the architecture of network, technology, communities, collective intelligence, distribution, system, the relationships between the individual and the group. So when Jupiter reaches Pluto in Aquarius in 2032, 2033, I don't read that as one event. We are building to there. As 2026, we are seeing the opposition of Jupiter, Pluto, together with Uranus and Jupiter, together with Uranus and Neptune. Now I read it as a threshold, a moment when many of the experiments we are beginning now could become much larger. Think AI? Where are the hominids that are going to walk between us? And that is why I keep looking at the next 6, 7 years. It's not simply a period of technological disruption. I see it as a race to decide what kind of networked civilization are we actually building. It's beyond the internet. One possibility is enormous technological concentration, just few AI companies managing all the data centers of the world, a handful of systems owning the intelligence, owning the infrastructure, the data centers, access, maybe even deciding who gets visibility, credit, economic participation, or mobility. Think about the communist China. That is one version of Aquarius, the hive. But there is another version that you need to push forward. Technology distributed outward. Small operators becoming extraordinarily capable. Communities coordinating directly. knowledge become accessible almost everywhere. People become less geographically trapped. Smaller businesses using tools that once belonged only to corporations. Individuals connecting directly with the exact people who need what they provide. That is another Aquarius, the network of nodes. And I think both futures will be existing on the same time. That is why the question is not, will AI or bad? The question is too primitive. The real question will be, or is, where will power concentrate and where will power distribute? And then, where are you positioning yourself? What future are you visioning? This is the question of Jupiter opposing Pluto. Are you going to the plan of your parents how to take care of your future? Because I believe that the businesses that become interesting in the environment will not be necessarily be the ones producing more generic digital noise. AI produced generic information extraordinarily cheap. So scarcity begins moving somewhere else. Trust becomes scarce. Humans' discernment becomes scarce. Real expertise becomes scarce. Physical competence becomes scarce. Health, strong communities, beautiful physical environment, high quality food becomes scarce. Not scraps of McDonald's or snacks packed in industry. Attention becomes scarce. Privacy, genuine human presence, very scarce. Those are markets. What is scarce? Going to have value. That doesn't mean every person needs to open a wellness company to buy farmland. It means you have to understand where value moves when intelligence itself becomes abundant. If everybody has access to an extraordinary digital assistant, then simply knowing information is less differentiating. What is unique in you? What you have access to that people less have? But knowing what matters become more valuable. Having judgment become more valuable. Also reputation, trusted network, being capable in the physical world become more valuable. Are you have the body for this? The strength for this? Because everybody can say what they want on the keyboard. Where are you next to another person? Being somebody that other human beings actually want around becomes more valuable. And this is why I'm extremely interested in businesses that sit at the intersection between technology and human reality. Local food system, health and biological optimization, regenerative agriculture, small-scale energy, construction, physical infrastructure, mobility, education that actually produces competence, building community, specialized consulting for different topics, human transformation, hospitality, experiences of any kind, craftsmanships, things you do with the hands, and businesses that help people navigate complexity rather than merely giving them more information. I also believe geography becomes part of this opportunity because if intelligence and economic capability become increasingly portable, then cities, Dubai, New York, Los Angeles no longer hold the monopoly they once held over opportunity. And that could create another wave of migration. This is migration away from expensive, dense, dependent environment toward places where people can rebuild different relationship with land, community, cost of living, and of course time. That creates entirely new economies. Think about it for a moment. If 50 skilled people move into an overlooked region and they bring remote income, technical intelligence, international connection, and entrepreneurial capacity, they begin creating demand, first of all. Food, housing, training, healthcare, construction, education, local services, hospitality, transportation. We all have needs, community spaces, and suddenly a place that was economically peripheral can become a node. 50 people have demand. Why to pay all this high cost of living and stress and lack of air, lack of time, lack of calm moments? Some of the most interesting opportunities may emerge in places that currently look insignificant. You have access from everywhere. Starlink, one of those many now. Starlink connects you anywhere on the globe. And once distance matters less, but again, none of this is automatic. Technology can give you freedom. It can also make you extraordinarily passive. AI can amplify somebody who knows what he wants to achieve, what he wants to feel. But it also can make somebody with no direction even more dependent. Then you have not become technologically powerful. You have become technologically assisted in remaining, and this is where the next years become very important. Use this period to build capacity, not just in your brain, but in your body general and in your relationship environment. Don't wait to 2032. Don't be afraid neither from their agenda. By then, many of the positions will be already taken. Networks will already exist. Trust will already have been built. People maybe already develop their skills. Communities will already be forming. Businesses will already be adopting. Capital will already be moving. Bitcoin will already be. This is what cycle analysis is useful for. Not telling you exactly the stock will be worth what price 7 years from now. You could estimate. Things cost more because of inflation. The deeper value is understanding what season you are entering before everybody agrees that the season changed. Nobody predicts the market, but you can read the weather. 3 times a year, I draw it by hand. Fibonacci levels, universal technical analysis. Then I overlay the planetary cycles running through that asset. Where the two agree, you get a window. That's the live chart. 7 markets, Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB XRP, oil, gold, and S&P 500 hold more than one. And you stop watching a single chart and start seeing the whole field. Not financial advice, not certainty, no indicator is. Some years run above 80%. The last months were harder. Every chart scrolls through the full history so you judge it yourself. The protocol is public, ecoscopia.net. Now everybody know we are in AI. This is the future. Years ago, also people say, Bitcoin, this is the future. It is. That is how I have always approached market. And increasingly, that is how I approach life itself. You don't wait until everybody says, yes, the old structures is finished. It's happened gradually. The seasons are changing, overlapping, because by then, you are responding to history. You begin positioning while the old system still looks normal. This is to be aligned. You build the skill before everybody needs the skill. You develop your body before weakness becomes a crisis. You build financial optionality while income is still flowing. You create relationships when everything is still okay, not when you are desperately need a community. You explore geography before circumstances force you to leave or another pandemic. You learn to use AI before AI becomes the minimum requirement for participating economically. And you understand your own cycles so you know when expansion makes sense and when preservation makes sense. That is a larger part of the work I've been developing for years. Looking underneath events, reading cycles, understanding where pressure is accumulating, and then translating that into positioning. Because astrology, at least the way I use it, is not there to make you passive. It should do exactly the opposite. It should give you more awareness of time and therefore more responsibility for what you do with it. So when I talk about 2032, 2033 horizon, I'm not telling you this is exactly what the world will look like. Nobody knows that. We have estimation. I'm saying look at the direction of the architecture. Intelligence is becoming distributed. Old employment structures are being challenged. Technological power is concentrating very fast, rapidly. Geography is becoming more flexible. The definition of human value is changing. So what? Communities are going to have to reorganize around that reality. People who understand this early don't need to fear the future or Agenda 2030. They can begin designing for it. The elite are doing it too. And this is ultimately what I want my work to be about. Not prediction for entertainment, positioning. Positioning your capital, your work, your body, where you live, positioning the people around you, and positioning your attention before somebody else decides where it should go. Because listen, when Jupiter finally reaches Pluto in Aquarius, February 2032, I don't think the most important question will be, what happened to the old world? It's a gradual collapse and emerge on the same time. I think the question will be, what did you build while it was changing? And the message in the signal was July 2026.